Alright guys, so here we are doing the inside back, upholstering the inside back on the club chair. Why are we doing this by itself, a part by itself? Is because if you recall, this has to be pleated over the arm, so it's a separate piece. And now that I think about it, each section on a piece of furniture, any piece of furniture that you're doing is a unique section. So there are things to learn even from a left and a right arm, as you could see the angle of the cut, for instance. It might look the same, but the angle of the cut and where you put your body positioning, and if you're left or you're right, it makes a big difference, and you saw that. So now what we're going to do, by the way, if you want to take a look at a left-handed person upholstering, Jimmy is a left-handed person. We had challenges. I have challenges teaching somebody that's left-handed. It's not Jimmy's fault, it's my fault. Sometimes it can be a little awkward, but his online classes, if you're a left-handed person, you may want to watch that, or if you're just interested. But anyhow, on cutting, that is. So what we're going to do is we are going to just note the inside back. That's always marked, right? It's week to week sometimes when you go. And it's nice to have a reference. I'm not standing here. It's 8 different directions this fabric could go on. I'm sure I marked the back side of my fabric and it's marked top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to space that over evenly. And in my opinion, this fabric did not really have a center point, so I'm just evenly spacing it out. I'm not bothering to mark, but I am noting, straight somewhat, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin tack the back. I'm going to turn this around to show you. I'm going to pin tack this. I'm going to pin staple. Let's just square it up for you guys. So I'm just going to pull this. I'm going to get a staple halfway in, and just 3 should be okay for now. I will get a couple more here too in the middle. 5 just at the top, and we're going to turn it back around. Everybody wants to tuck at this point. Don't be tempted to do that. You're only tucking in one spot, right in the middle. Okay, I only want you to tuck through in the middle. It's going to come through to the outside. Turn it around again. Show you. Pull, taut, staple. Pull it back. So as a right-handed person, it's much easier for me to cut this side. I'll show you why. It's what we were just talking about. Because I can get an angle like this. On this one here, a left-handed person would be perfect, but as a right-handed person, I have to take my body over here and come down like this. It's a little awkward. A lot of times when I was teaching students and they were getting to this part, I would offer to do the more difficult cut, just as a kind of a teaching moment, and I don't want people to get too frustrated with how they have their body. A lot of people who are short, it would be very difficult to reach over here. So what they end up doing is they try to make the cut as a right-handed person over here. It's almost impossible, you guys. And it really isn't advisable to turn the chair up, turn it upside down, turn it on its back, because you just don't see it the same, and you'll make a mistake that way. So let me just show you. Let's do my easy cut first. I'm going to fold the fabric back. Sorry guys, I stepped on an ink pen. We don't want that going anywhere. I'm going to fold the fabric back, and I'm going to try to prep it against the arm there. Okay, and there's a series of 3 cuts. Number 1 cut is at the top of that horizontal framework of the chair that's set inside. It's another thing. You're working blind. You have to put this in your mind's eye, what you're doing. And what you're doing is you're cutting around that vertical and horizontal post back there. So this first cut goes to the top of the horizontal post. The second cut to the bottom, but not all the way. And then the third cut, notice I fold my fabric out like this, is an angle cut, about 90 degree, 45 degrees, sorry. And now I have a tail section that's too big. I want to trim that down a little bit. So that trail section, that tail is going to come through the outside arm. Let's do that now. Turn it. I made a little hole, and hopefully my tail section will come right through there. I did a good job. Here it comes. We're going to give that a pull. You see what it did? How it transitioned nicely into the arm. And I'm going to get a staple on there. I don't usually upholster like this. This is just for your benefit. Okay, and then I'm ready on that half of the chair in the back to just get this staple down. Pull it this way. Staple, 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 staple. So this is hard for a right-handed person, but I'm going to come to the top. This cut is going to come to the top of that post. And then I'm going to cut about 1 inch to the bottom of that post. And then I'm making a third cut to the bottom here. And then I'm going to trim this tail section up because it would be too much. And believe me, if you guys want to see this in more detail, the online class is the way to go. You know, I mean, I just can't slow down too much on these. You're getting it fast. And I know the camera angles aren't perfect. But if you want near perfection, I'm not saying we're perfect, are the online classes, and then you get the extra bonus of an apprentice that you're watching along with me. So let's give that a pull to see how nicely that came out. Pull the tail, staple it. I'm going to go to the back of the chair, get a little, there we go. Now back to the chair, finish pulling this area. See that? Now, I will give you a taste of the online classes at this point, and I will tell you something. So, usually the student wants to move ahead, and they're ready to do their cuts here, and I have to stop them. It's not the time to cut. You have to stretch up. And the questions that the student will ask, the apprentice will ask, is, well, why do you have to do that? Which I don't necessarily, I'm doing it now, but in most of my videos, I don't do this. I'm talking to myself. But you have to stretch to the top first to get a proper read on those top cuts. That's the answer. Okay, so let's turn it around. I was trying to make a point there. Okay. Now I'm going to undo half of the side of the pin tacks. I'm going to make my stretch, two-way stretch to this point, up and over, and get a staple all the way. And then I'm going to just kind of smooth it up. Staple, 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 staple. Now, this has a back cushion. This is not. This is a tight back with hardly any filling. So there's no really adjusting going on here more than what we just did. That's it. So don't think that you can apply this to a sprung back because you're going to be stretching a lot more. Two-way stretch. Staple. Smooth it over. Get more staples. Open the bag. You don't have to hear everything. I had somebody say he talks too much. I'll turn the volume down. I don't like his voice. Better than listening to that compressor. Alright, let's turn it around, show you these cuts. Top of the arm cuts. Again, what we're doing now is we have a vertical post in there that we want our fabric to pull through, and we need to cut around the top of the arm. And now that this is tight, we have a proper read on the fabric. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look. Now, at this point, on the online classes, we would have another camera showing you the other side, and it would be slower. And I think there's great value. So far, we've heard, I think we've only heard compliments from those online classes. That you go to Upholstery on Broadway to check that out. So the first cut, now notice the angle. I'm angling up. I want to make sure I have enough fabric to pleat over here. I don't want to be coming this way. Usually your gut, your first instinct is not correct on cutting. Always remember that. Think about what you're trying to do. What we're trying to do here is we want the fabric to pull through here, and we want to make sure there's a pleat over here. Remember, we didn't pleat the arm. We want to pleat over the arm. It's really important. We can't have raw fabric hanging there, and this is what we're trying to do. That's why I'm angling up this way, see? And now I'm going to go a little deeper, and then I'm going to make a second cut to try to get around the arm, and even a third cut, and then a trim. And let's see how this pulls through now. Let's just see. We could take our scissors. Usually a screwdriver is better than a scissors. I don't want to Yeah, I'm going to have to need a screwdriver for that because the scissors will poke through the fabric. This is a very tight in here. So, you know, you don't want to poke through the fabric with your scissors, so I'm going to pull this back out again a little bit because it's too much stuff. It's very tight in here. And I'm going to just pull through. See what I'm dealing with. Let's show you what I'm dealing with here. So this is the inside arm, which hasn't been tacked down yet. So that's what's creating a problem for me right now. So your inside arm has to be tacked first, and then the inside back fabric, it's so tight in there that I'm going to have to pull it with my pliers. Let's just look at it before we commit to the stapling. Looks pretty good. So let's staple that down. Bring it back this way. Let's see how our pleat is going to look. Now you should have a regulator, actually. Regulator is a really nifty tool to have. Before you, so I was tempted to just try to pull this over, but I know that I need to cut a little deeper. But before I cut deeper, let's just take out I'd rather not, let's take our regulator to see if we can kind of poke it and make it work this way. Okay, so I need to make another cut that's a little deep, and I'll show you why. See that little pucker there? You don't want that. So I'm going to pull this back out. This way it can get a little nerve-wracking for people because, you know, it could mean that they do the whole job over if they make a miscut, right? I like this now. I'm not going to cut that anymore. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to roll. Everything's falling on the ground because I'm really focused in what I'm doing. So if you're laughing at home seeing all this stuff falling, it's because I'm really focused on what I'm doing here. So what I'm doing here now is I'm getting a pleat. Look how nice that looks. Pleat over that raw fabric that was the outside, that was the inside arm. I'm going to staple that. And look what I'm going to do here, you guys. I'm going to come straight up, stretch it tight, and get a staple there. And come down like that. And now look what I do on this pleat. I'm going to pull this, try to pull this all the way to the top, and then I'm going to get a staple right here. And I'm going to trim this. And just, the trick here is to get it a little bit beyond the staple so that it releases. And I come this way to see how much I need to trim. I put a pleat underneath here, and I fold it. Now, again, on the online classes, we probably put about 20 minutes into this pleat with our student. Because there's little nuances in there, which you just saw me do that quickly. But there's little nuances that really make a nice job. And I'm going to just do another couple of checks there. I love that. This is going to pull out this way. So I am going to do this silent. Guys, watch. The next arm, silent. So there you go, the inside back in about, what, 10 minutes or less. So again, on the online classes, you're going to see a lot more detail than that, but I hope that you got enough to do your own. We love it when people just use our YouTube videos to do what they need to do, and we have heard from people that said it's amazing. They've taken the videos and they're actually upholstering and actually making money now. So I hope and wish you all success. So we'll see you next time.